1:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission for July 15, 2013 to order. Roll call, Commissioner Witcher.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Littlefield. Here. Commissioner Newton. Here, sir. Commissioner Hale. Here, sir. Commissioner Schuline. Here. Commissioner Jenkins.
Here.
Commissioner George. Not here. And Commissioner Yonkel.
Here.
Very good. I'd like to have a motion concerning the minutes of the May 20th, 2013 meeting.
Move that they be approved as submitted.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve the minutes.
Second.
And we have a second from Commissioner Schuline. Do we have any talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. May I have your votes, please?
I wasn't present.
Right. And not here. Okay, very good. Did you get that? Okay. Next, we have the report on licensed taxi and record services.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Bear. This is Sergeant Dancy. He's taken over Sergeant McCaleb's place as the vehicle for hire inspector. We've been doing the yearly vehicle for hire inspections on all the taxis, vans, carriages, and limousines. On taxis and vans, on new driver permits, we had 72, renewed driver permits, 73, driver transfers, 48. We did 12 duplicates. We passed 410 taxis when we inspected them. We failed 62 on taxi inspections. We worked 16 complaints. On enforcement actions and investigations, we did 15. On field inspections, we did 309, and we issued 11 citations. On limousines, we did 9 new driver permits, 12 renewed driver permits. Driver transfers, we did 0 duplicates, and 0 enforcement action and investigations. Issued 0 citations. On past limousine inspections, we did 24, and we failed 10. On carriages, new driver permits, we issued 6, renewed driver permits 5, 0 on transferred driver permits and duplicates. We passed 27 carriages when we inspected them and failed 0. We worked 1 complaint on a pedicab company, did 1 enforcement investigation on them. And that's it.
Okay, could you talk about the 62 failed for
On
taxis?
most of the failures, it was regarding tires, bald tires, emergency brakes. On AMC Taxi, they didn't have all 4 of the numbers on the taxis. Horn, lights, vehicle damage and paint. We had meters that weren't working properly. That was encompassed most of them.
Now, does this seem a little higher this year than in the previous years?
Yes, sir.
And could you speculate why?
I just think they weren't ready for Roundup.
As in the past, they got ready?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
because that's a large number. That's 472 taxis
Yes, sir.
out in the city. So yes, now did all the 62 come back?
Yes, they did come back. We're in the process right now of completing the ones that needed new paint, have the cabs repainted.
Right, because that was one of the things we changed a couple of years ago, was to paint in every year.
Yes, sir.
So they're kind of stretching it out as far as they can and having you kind of say, okay, that's too far.
Yes. We've had some of them come back that we had failed them, and they still hadn't come up to what we needed to have for compliance. So we're going into 3rd inspections on them. But the majority of them did come back and did pass.
Okay. And you said you had 16 complaints with 11 citations.
Yes, sir.
Could you explain those a little bit?
Yes, sir, I sure will. On Boot Scoot Pedicab Company, we got a complaint on them working with an expired permit on their carriages out at the the zoo amphitheater. We investigated that. The calling party did not want to sign a complaint on them, So we talked to them about it, and they said they wouldn't do it again. We worked an Action Center complaint on a taxi driver, independent cab number 1's body odor. We resolved that. Yellow cab driver Evan Smith refused to give his equipment back to Yellow Cab after being terminated. We took care of that. Yellow cab Jerry Farah rear-ended 3 taxis at the Sheridan taxi stand, and on that deal, he wanted them to move up further. They refused to move up there further, so he rear-ended them, causing bumper damage to 3 taxis in front of him. We issued him citations. He went to court last Thursday and pled no contest on all 3 citations, and it's my understanding that Yellow Cab is going to take care of the bumpers on the 3 cars. Thunder Cab contacted us about complaints against AMC Taxi and OKC Green for refusing service and not having a dispatch system as per ordinance. Also, they were having decals that advertised special fares to the airport, and it was inconsistent rates posted on the cabs, AMC and OKC Green. We're currently working on that. And then we had...
Okay, so you're working on the dispatch thing and the markings on the vehicle and the rate to the airport thing?
Yes, sir. Sergeant Dancy's investigating that at this time.
Very good.
OKC Express, we got a complaint on them not having enough insurance coverage on their vehicles, and we investigated that, and it was unfounded. He did have enough insurance on his vehicles. Carl Gaskins with Thunder Cab was refusing to report accidents on his taxis the next business day to the Vehicle for Hire office. We talked to the owner of the company, Mr. Nigem, and he got that corrected. Failures during Roundup were mostly Yellow Cab, Thunder, OKC Express, AMC, and we did inspect Mr. Paris's limousines, but at this time, it's my understanding he doesn't have, he hasn't went down and paid for the decals. And that was it.
So it just seems like that's a lot more than we've had in the past. In the past, you've usually talked about driver-on-driver things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next item is item 4, the consent docket. Do we have anybody here to speak against the consent docket, which is item 4A, B, and C? Nobody here to speak against it? Do we have a motion concerning the consent docket?
I move that we approve the consent docket.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Jenkins to approve the consent docket. We have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have any discussion on the consent docket?
Can we ask questions if the parties are present?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Mustang is here, correct? Can I ask you to step up, please? Thank you.
Sir, if I could have your name and your address, please, and then when you're done, fill out one of the blue forms. And you have up to 5 minutes to speak.
Ron Martin, Chief Operating Officer for Mustang Public Schools. Our address is 906 South Heights Drive, Mustang, Oklahoma.
Very good. I'm Jay Newton. I serve Ward 3, so I've been working with you a few times. I'm concerned about traffic flowing into and out of the school that's being built. I want to make sure that plans have been made prior to any zoning of the streets, any changes to speed limits, anything else, that we have adequate flow in and out of that school, guessing that Sarah Road hasn't been terribly well improved in that area. I want to make sure that we're not going to impact traffic severely as this school goes into operation. Can you talk to that a little bit? Tell us what's going on there as far as how our traffic flow in and out of the school is going to be approached.
Our Director of Bonds and Construction, Jeff Wood, has been working with architects on that. I know we have 2 ways in and out of that facility off Sarah Road. I know we have a circle area behind the site for the buses and one in front for the parents' cars, and then we have a third one for daycare vans and so forth. I know that Mr. Woodridge went out and timed traffic and so forth during the day. School's been out, but he's just been tracking the normal traffic there. We feel we're going to have a good flow at this time. We'll have a crosswalk guard help the students that live in the local housing district. So at this time, we feel we have a good flow, but until school starts, won't know for sure. We don't know how many car riders we are versus bus riders, so.
Okay, I'm just trying to avoid any situations like what we see at Mustang North Middle School or Trails or anything like that that's been really difficult to get into and out of. I wanted to make sure that thought had been put in prior to the actual school being finished. And it sounds like you guys are on top of it now. I'm very pleased with that.
There's a lot of traffic out there. We're making
Yes,
some
sir.
improvements at Valley Elementary for parking and entrance in and out as well, so
Yes, sir.
that's been quite a challenge.
I understand. Thank you very much for your help. That's great. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, let the record show that Commissioner George has showed up. Okay, do we have anybody else that wish to have any comments or anything on the consent?
Just out of curiosity, on Sarah Road, do we know, Stuart, if there's any plans for that to be widened down in that area of 29th down to 44th or so?
Well, currently, there's no plans that I'm aware of. It may be a portion, it may be something that's looked at in a future bond program, but I don't believe that that's on any of the current programs.
I can speak to that just a little bit, and I have spoken to Councilman McAtee about Sarah Road from basically I-40 all the way to Mustang. He says the earliest that anything is going to be done on that road is going to be probably 2018. We're waiting on a bond issue for several of those roads out in that general area, so we're probably not going to get any kind of widening or improvement unless there are repairs. Something's bad enough that it has to be taken care of at that time, but that's the earliest we're going to see anything is to 2017, 2018 years.
Okay, any more talk on the consent docket? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Jenkins to approve the consent docket, seconded by Commissioner Witcher. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Okay, we go to item 5A. Thunder Up Limousine Service, LLC, 14710 Metro Plaza Boulevard, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73013, to consider an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity from Thunder Up Limousine Service, LLC, to operate 2 vehicles in limousine service. Do we have anybody here to talk on the item? Yes, sir. Can I have your name and your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Khalid Rifaq. I represent J&K Enterprises. We own Oklahoma Shuttle, Lightning Express, and Thunder Cab. I'm here to contest the name that this company has chosen for the limo company, the Thunder Up. We have no problem with them opening up a limo company. It's just that this name is too much similar to ours, Thunder Cab, and we cannot have another vehicle in vehicle for hire, another company in the vehicle for hire with a similar name, because it causes confusion with our customers. And whoever I have met, they have asked me that, are you guys opening up this limo company, which we are not. And also being in charge of the SEO of the companies, which is search on the internet optimization. They can pretty much piggyback on our advertisement with this name. And so that's what I'm here for, is to contest this name. I have no problem with them opening up limo company. It's just that this name is no good. Just like the way, if the name they had decided was Yellow Ride or Yellow Up, I'm sure Yellow Cab would have been here saying that the name has to be changed. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have staff input, please.
Okay, you've got our comments before you. You do have a complete application. Staff is recommending approval of the application as submitted. Ms. Burnett may be able to give you a little bit more detail on the conditions regarding the name, which is covered under Part D of Section 5624.
Yeah, our investigation here is really limited to 56-24. As far as the trade name infringement, that's more of a civil matter between the two companies. Our investigation here is whether the trademark or the name is different enough from any other licensee that a normal person wouldn't confuse the two companies. So that's really what this body should consider.
Okay, thank you very much for your counsel. Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
I'll move to approve the application.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve item 5A. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Hale. Do we have any talk on this item?
I'd like to point out that even though Thunder Up and Thunder Cab may sound similar, one is a taxi service, the other is an application for a limo service. I think that by virtue of that, we can't really we can't limit the name of the limo service because it's a different market if it's a different service. That would be my interpretation of the statute.
Mr. Jim, if it was like a towing company or some other company, we wouldn't have any problem with that. But since it's vehicle for hire, everybody's going to think that we have something to do with this limo company.
They might also think that the basketball team may own your company. A few years ago, your company made application essentially to have the same color scheme as Yellow Cab. And we had you change the name so that to reduce the confusion. The way the statute's written, it's not it's a matter of having a distinctive color scheme or a distinctive name or a distinctive trademark or logo. By the statute, we can't really. It would not be the most responsible thing, in my opinion, for this commission to get into protecting your business.
Sure. I understand about the, Thunder, everyone thinking that we are somehow related to a basketball team. If they were opening up a restaurant or anything else which was not vehicle for hire, I wouldn't be here. But since this is vehicle for hire and we're in that business, we cannot have another company under the same name because first, they will piggyback on our advertisement, especially on the internet. Secondly, they will confuse us owning that other limo company, and then whatever kind of service they provide, the name will come on us. Because no customer is going to get in the limo and look for documentation thinking that, oh, Thunder Cab, does Thunder Cab have anything to do with Thunder Up? So that's the only issue. If they were opening up any other business, no problem. But
I understand your concern.
Okay, any other talk on this item?
I have a quick comment for you, or a question also. One, are you licensed by the Thunder to use the Thunder name or the NBA?
No, we're not.
You're not? Okay. And I guess you heard the council say that it's really a civil matter between you and the other cab. So I think your right would be to take them to court and say, hey, that name's too close.
No, I think council talked.
I'm not saying that there is an
No,
infringement
I'm
there.
not saying you said that, but that would be his recourse. It would not be
Well,
here.
Right.
It would
I
be
think
a
you were talking
civil,
to go against
a civil court,
the basketball.
not at the traffic commission.
Mr. Kevin, in the past, we have discussed these issues over here. Yellow Cab was here stating that our color scheme matches their color scheme
Right.
too much. So the whole issue is we don't want any customer to think that we have anything to do with this limo company. That's the issue. We don't want to confuse our customers. And I was just speaking with Sergeant Dancy and Sergeant Bear. They thought that we were opening up this company.
Right.
So that's how the customers think.
Yeah. I can see your point, for sure. It sounds to me from council that it's really not our issue, though. I mean, as far as the traffic commission has made a determination, not the commission, but the staff has made a determination that that name is different enough than yours. So they recommend that we approve it, basically.
Well,
That's my understanding of it.
They would recommend approval because no one else in the state has that name. So it could be, I can open up another company that says Thunder Ups with an S.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
would
that
say,
one
hey,
might-
no other
I'm not
company
sure.
has this name. So they won't have an objection to that. But the issue is the confusion of the customers.
The Thunder.
Yes, and however they do the service, then the bad name comes on us. And we have worked very hard to take our name to where
Yeah.
it is now.
I
I mean,
totally
there's-
understand your point.
There's a towing
without a doubt.
company that's Thunder Towing. That's not a problem to us. There's a dry cleaning service, Thunder something.
Right.
But vehicle for hire, then it becomes our issue because everybody thinks it's us starting that company.
I guess I have a question for staff. It was your determination that the names are different enough, that the city is okay with that? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I'll just, the staff doesn't actually determine that the name or the color scheme is different enough. That's this body's job to decide that.
Okay.
Under 56-24D,
I got
you
it.
guys are looking at whether...
So
the
we
name is
determine if
different
Thunder Up is different enough
Right.
for Thunder.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Well, not only that, there's 3 items, and it just has to be one of the 3 that has to be different. Is that
Right.
correct from previous council?
Yes.
No, say that again? All 3 have to be different?
No, only one of the 3 has to be different. If you look on
You
page
can have the
1,
same name as long as it's a different color?
it says, if you look at D,
I don't see it. But
well, it's 5A, page 1, item D there. They have to have a unique color scheme and/or
Okay.
trademark and/or name different.
Okay.
So as long as their color scheme would be different,
Okay. So you can have another yellow cab as long as it's blue. Another yellow cab company in Oklahoma City as long as
Could
it's
be.
blue?
according to D, as long as you, but again, we would look at that to say, is it too close? And we could make a judgment. So yes, you're right. If somebody came in with a yellow cab company and it was a blue cab,
Okay.
we could say it's a different color, but we may also say it's too close. And we could make that call.
Okay.
But one point, as Commissioner Witcher brought up, this is also a limo service, not a radio cab.
Right.
So when they look in the yellow pages or they look out there for taxis,
Yeah.
that limo won't pop up. So that was what you brought up. So if you look at, could it be all three, but yet because it's a different service, could that weigh in? All those factors is what you're saying. We have that choice to look here.
You can look at all three of those factors, or you can look at just one. So if somebody wanted to open a Thunder cab but just change it to orange, then this body could say, no, we think that's too similar.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
Okay? So any other talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner Hale, to approve item 5A. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Item 5B, LJ Care Transporter, LLC, 1410 Lafayette Drive, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73119, to consider an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity from LJ Care Transporter, LLC, to operate 5 non-emergency medical transport vehicles in van service. We have somebody who wishes to talk on this item. Sir, can I have your name and your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Lorenzo Cruz, 1410 Lafayette Drive, Oklahoma City 73119, operator of LJ Care Transport. I just want to consider that my application will be approved.
All right, thank you very much. Can we have staff input?
All right, you've got a complete application for LJ Care Transporter to operate 5 vehicles in non-emergency van service. Staff is recommending approval of the application as submitted.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5B?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Newton
Second.
and a second from Commissioner Schuline. Do we have any talk on this item?
I just have a,
Ma'am? Ma'am?
I just had one question. In looking over your application, I didn't see any Sunday services. So do you plan in the future to have Sunday or?
Yes, because usually I consider like if I have an employee or me, we go to church on Sunday, so we consider the priority is the church.
I know this is just out of curiosity, really doesn't affect your application, but I noticed that a lot of the medical transport, the non-emergency medical transport services are coming online in the last 12 months. What has changed in the market that's made it more popular?
Well, online usually it's more on advertising, but for me,
No, I mean, there are more companies doing it now.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Because I only consider it like word by mouth. If they like my services, then that's the only one I...
But what has caused you to open this company?
Because I've been in California before. I worked in a social service.
Okay.
And I've been working with people, they need rides. So I consider this helping old folks, if they need help. And like my testimony, I haven't helped my mom until she died. So I consider helping people, somehow serving old people.
And do you contract with any assisted living facilities or anything, or do you just let them know that you're available?
Just by word by mouth.
Okay, do we have any other talk on item 5B? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5B from Commissioner Newton, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved.
Thank you.
Good luck. Item 5C, Thomas Hoffman, 1061 Southwest 98th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73139, to consider a request for the addition of a stop signs on Winston Way at Southwest 98th Street in order to establish all-way stop control. We have somebody here to talk on this item. Mr. Hoffman, can I have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Thomas Michael Hoffman. I live at 1061 Southwest 98th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73139. I have 8 comments, and you ladies and gentlemen, after each comment, you can comment if you'd like. I'll take them one by one. My first one is, we've had many wrecks in 37 years that I've lived in the community. A lot of them were reported, a lot of them were not reported. Any questions?
Sir, we're not allowed to talk about it until there's a motion on the floor.
Okay, last few months, our street light was knocked down, the fire hydrant was knocked over, and I don't know whether it was reported or not, but number 3, the view of the intersection is obstructed by cars parking at the intersection, and that's been quite a problem. Number 4, Winston Way was open to through traffic a few years ago, which caused a lot more traffic to come through our addition. Number 5, our addition has no exit to Pennsylvania Avenue. And that's a problem ever since the addition was done, because there's not very many ways out. We only have 5 ways out of our addition in 1 square mile. When the counters were placed a couple weeks ago, I would like to bring this up. School is out, and there wasn't near as much traffic as what there normally is. And also, there's a school bus that stops on that corner. So that's one thing that was not considered at this time because school was out. I would like you to take that into consideration, please. And one more. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. May we have staff input, please?
All right, you've got our complete summary in front of you. Just want to point out 1 or 2 things. This is for the city's current criteria for considering the use of all-way stop. Looks at total traffic entering volumes into the intersection, about 2,500 vehicles per day. This one is currently running at about 1758 vehicles per day, and the traffic volumes distributed between Winston Way and Southwest 98th Street are about equal. You get, of that 1758, you get 46% on Winston Way, and the remaining 54% is carried on 98th Street. So it's about balanced. The counts that we performed, obviously they were done after the end of the school year. The variability in that, it's hard to say, but I mean it could be recounted. In this particular case, that given the absence of a significant collision history, of any indicative of any particular hazards at the intersection, review of the intersection with respect to the city and the manual on uniform traffic control device, stop warrant criteria, we just don't have cause at this time to recommend the addition of stop control on Winston Way at 98th Street. So action on this will be at the discretion of the commission.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5C?
Move to approve the application.
We have a motion to approve item 5C from Commissioner George. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Yonkel. Do we have any talk on this item?
I'd like to ask if it's possible to delay decision on this until the school year does start so we can see what the traffic difference is. It's obvious during the summertime that we're not getting the traffic volume that we need to actually see if that's a problem intersection or not. It might be worth it to wait a little bit if we don't approve it today.
One thing I'd like to ask is the extra traffic that you talked about for the school, what road does that go on? What road picks up all that extra traffic? Is it Winston Way or South?
Down Winston Way. Winston Way goes out to 89th and it goes to 104th. I live on 98th Street and it only goes to Western. It doesn't go to Penn. So there's a lot of traffic through there, especially with school buses. Also, you have a lot of teenagers driving, and
So the extra traffic would be on Winston Way?
Yes, sir.
Which is the
North-south.
the north-south? Is that the through street, or is that the?
Well,
It didn't used to be, but it is now.
Right. It's as close to a north-south collector as you've got in the area. It is, to say it's a through street.
Oh, no,
that's
I'm
not
sorry.
interrupted-
Is that the one without the stop signs?
Yes, Winston Way is the one that's not controlled. Right now, we've got side street stop control on 98th Street.
So Winston Way is right now, Winston Way is the
Traffic on Winston Way
primary.
has the right-of-way.
Correct.
Through the
So
intersection.
you're saying that there's, during school, morning and afternoon, there's more traffic on Winston Way than what this showed? Okay. Okay, any other talk on this item?
I went down there this morning and made an observation. I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to do my best here. May I? Thank you very much, Commissioner. You go south from Southwest 89th Street, there's some nice gentle twists and turns on Winston Way that are probably what I call accidental traffic calming planning from way back when. But of the intersections that do have controls on them, they're all-way stops with the exception of this one intersection, which is just a two-way stop. And it might behoove the neighborhood and a driver's expectation as they go through Winston Way, if they're traversing the whole thing, then there's consistent traffic controls through this corridor. And for that reason, I think it's a good idea to approve those. Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to just ask, you mentioned about cars parking at the intersection, being too close to the curb.
They're not in violation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What's the parking?
They have been in violation a few times, but when I went to this gentleman's house when I was doing this study, he said he would not sign it, and he was against having it there. And I've noticed now that he is not parking out there, so that did help some. As long as he's legally parked, there's still a problem and seen around that intersection good.
Okay, but it's not a parking problem. They're not parking right up on the...
No, they're not parking. Ross, he was, but he's not now. But there's still a problem with all the cars parking in, the bus stops right there, the kids are everywhere. And
Yes, sir.
So is there a summer school going on there at Sky Ranch this month? The reason I ask is I received a call from another citizen that lives down that area just this morning talking about the traffic flow and such around that school, and I was led to believe that there was summer school going on up through the end of this month.
There could be, I don't know.
I didn't know if you noticed the traffic around the school. With it being summer, a lot of schools have summer schools, so that would obviously influence the traffic. So I was just curious if you knew the answer to that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I noticed Mr. Hoffman also raises the issue of the painted crosswalks. Is that in our purview, sir? Can we get the crosswalks painted for students to?
Well, at a location like this, if there are no ADA facilities, which there aren't, there are no sidewalks, there are no wheelchair ramps or something like that, we typically don't stripe crosswalks at intersections that are constructed that way until improvements like that go in. But, like in the absence of sidewalks generally throughout the area. You know, we could make an intersection ADA accessible. It just won't take you anywhere else.
Could I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
I'm concerned about the school kids. You know, there's a lot of them in there. The school bus stops there. We have a lot of schools in the area. I've lived there 37 years. I'm surprised that no one has been killed yet, but we have had major injuries there where the ambulances come out, took people off. We've had several of them, and I've been trying to do this now for 38 years, and I would appreciate anything that you do for me.
Okay, thank you.
For our neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask staff, if the traffic at the intersections, as the report points out, is pretty balanced. There's almost as many cars going through across 98th as there are on Winston Way. What stands to reason to me is that during school, the traffic on Winston Way would increase. So if there's, say, 25% more traffic on one street than the other, would that lead you to letting the street with greater traffic not have the stop control, or adding the stop control? What would the additional traffic load, how would that change your recommendation?
Well, actually, right now, the stop control is on the street. It's got the greater traffic volume on it. So, but, you know, in this particular case, you're really looking at somewhat balanced traffic. I mean, it's just about even. The numbers that the city has used, like the 2,500 vehicles, you know, the entering volumes, those are long-standing numbers. They've just been in use for a long time. Maybe they are appropriate, maybe they're not appropriate in all situations. You know, even the MUTCD talks about having, you know, at least balanced traffic type conditions when you're looking at something, you know, using all-way stop control as a means of managing an intersection. So this particular case, it doesn't have necessarily the traffic volumes to support using all-way stop control. However, it's not beyond, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be an unreasonable thing for the commission to consider the request because traffic is balanced at this particular intersection. So that's why on our recommendation, this is a discretionary item for the commission to consider, and which is why we value citizen input in cases like this.
Yes, sir.
You'd mentioned a number of accidents that occurred. Could you relate how the accident occurred? I mean, what caused the accident? Was it?
Several of them was running the stop signs that are there.
Okay. If that's the case, then I don't really see how adding stop signs on Winston Way, I mean, possibly, but if they're not observing the signs now, I'm just wondering if additional signs are going to change their attitude about whether the signs should be observed.
Could I comment to that, please? Okay. 98th Street runs this way, and Winston Way runs this way. Okay, we have stop signs this way, and they're running them. And I understand, like you're saying, that they're running. But if we have stop signs over here, and they stop, then we may not have the accidents. Is that kind of valid? You understand what I'm saying? Because now they just blast right through there, and they do speed. That's another thing. They drive about 40 miles an hour. You cannot see around those cars and see at intersection driving at 40 miles an hour. Now, I know that the stop signs are not to slow traffic down, but how do we, I'll just throw myself on your mercy, how do we handle this? You know, how do we keep kids and people safe if we don't do it with stop signs?
All right. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
I think a little selective enforcement around about the time of school starts would probably be of assistance if you have manpower.
Yeah, that's the reason I brought up. I had another conversation with another citizen that lives down in this area just this morning, and I have already talked to my solo motor lieutenants about stepping up enforcement as summer school is completed and then whenever the normal school year starts. So that this is one of our schools that, from my understanding, we do have some concerns about. So.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments on item 5C? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5C from Commissioner George, seconded by Commissioner Yonkel. Have your votes, please. Item is approved. All right,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Item 5D, Brian Fitzsimmons, AIA President, Fitzsimmons Architect, 2721 North Walker Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, to consider two different requests, but we're going to go straight to staff input real quick.
Okay, on item 5D, the applicant has submitted a second request, which amends their first one. 5D is written for 90-degree parking on Northwest 13th Street. They resubmitted for 45-degree angle parking, so staff is recommending that the commission strike consideration of 5D at this time.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5D?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we strike item 5D.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Schuline to remove item 5D from the agenda. We have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Commissioner Jenkins. Do we have any talk on this item right now? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Schuline to remove item 5D from the agenda, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. Can I have your votes, please? All right, item 5D is gone. We move on now to item 5E, Brian Fitzsimmons, AIA President, Fitzsimmons Architects, Inc., 2721 North Walker Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73103, to consider requests for, one, establishment of 45-degree angle parking within the inset on-street parking area on the north side of Northwest 13th Street from approximately 115 feet east to 220 feet east of the east curb line of North Hudson Avenue, and two, establishment of, one, 45-degree angle reserved parking space for the physical disabled within the inset on-street parking area on the north side of Northwest 13th Street from approximately 220 feet east to 236 feet east of the east curb line of North Hudson Avenue. May I have your name and your address, please, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Brian Fitzsimmons, 2721 North Walker, Fitzsimmons Architects. That was a long description. But yes, this is basically to allow 45-degree parking off at 13th on the north side. It's, in my mind, a continuation of the last time we were here a couple months ago. This is similar to parking that's basically a block to the east that's already on the north side that and actually goes along a block or two. There's similar parking several blocks to the east, and so it would be continuing that idea, and I don't believe that there's any accidents or anything necessarily associated with those areas, and so we're trying to establish a similar pattern in front of here. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. May I have staff input?
All right. With this amended request, changing the 90-degree parking to 45-degree angle parking, we ran a couple test vehicles through to make sure that this would, in fact, work for this fit for this particular area, since lane widths, individual lane widths on Northwest 13th Street in this area in the neighborhood of 10 feet, based on the setback that he's provided. That's actually, these parking spaces are within an inset area, so there's actually a little bit more leeway in there. We ran a couple test vehicles through. Even the largest one we tested would be able to pull in and out safely in something like this. So based on the revised application, we can recommend approval as it's been presented. Action on it will be at the discretion of the commission.
Okay, you have a motion concerning 5E.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the applicant's recommendation and approve the request.
We have a motion to accept item 5E from Commissioner Schuline. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have any talk on this item?
Brian?
Yes.
Been working with Western Avenue corridor and over at 39th and Barnes area, where there have been some really intensive observations about wasted space behind vehicles, whether it be angle parking or 90-degree parking. And the consciousness is to move those vehicles, use up that wasted space that's necessary to back vehicles out to the rear of them, and bring walkability opportunities forward of where the cars are parked. I really admire what you've done here, and it looks as though you would have had an opportunity where this, I'm assuming it's a sidewalk on the bumper ends of the parking, where the property line is, you could have moved that forward. And it looks as though you choose not to. And I really appreciate the way you're respecting this project and this open space and walkability and sidewalk. I think it's great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on item 5E? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5E from Commissioner Schuline, seconded by Commissioner Witcher. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Item 5F, Charles Allen, P.E., Allen Engineering Services, Inc., 1601 Southwest 89th Street, Suite 200, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73159, to consider a request to change the speed limit on East I-35 Service Road between Northeast 122nd Street and East Hefner Road from 45 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. And sir, can I have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Charlie Allen. I'm with Allen Engineering, address 1601 Southwest 89th Street, Oklahoma City. Allen Engineering did the design for TGIF storage that's midway on this property. And in order to move our entrance, proposed entrance, south into the middle of the lot to the west, we're needing to have the speed limit reduced from 45 to 40 miles an hour.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We have staff input.
Okay, this one was actually a little bit surprising, but it was relatively straightforward to us. As part of the study, we did conduct a speed survey, and we found out that the observed 85th percentile speed, which is what 85% of all drivers are driving at or below, on this road already is running at 40 miles an hour. The request is to reduce the speed limit from 45 to 40 in order so this new location that's being developed will have a driveway that's capable of passing our decision site distance requirements. We also employed the Bella Light credible speed limit analysis to this, and once we scored this particular road, as it would turn out, the study would suggest that 40 miles an hour would be an appropriate speed for it, which seems to be an indicator, well, the 85th percentile is an indicator of how people are driving it already, so staff would recommend approval of this.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5F?
Move approval.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner George. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Hale. Do we have any talk on this item?
Sounds like a good move all the way around.
Okay. So we have a motion from Commissioner George, seconded by Commissioner Hale, to approve item 5F. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Thank you, sir, for your time. Item 5G, T. Alec Bass, EI SMC Consultant Engineer, PC 815 West Main Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73106, to consider a request for one establishment of 45-degree angle parking within a proposed inset on-street parking area on the west side of North Oklahoma Avenue from approximately 200 feet south to 245 feet south of the south curb line of Northeast 3rd Street, and two, establishment of one reserved parking space for the physically disabled within the inset on-street parking area on the west side of North Oklahoma Avenue from approximately 120 feet south to 145 feet south of the south curb line of Northeast 3rd Street. Do we have anybody here to talk on this item? Sir, if I could have your name and your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Tommy Martin. I'm with SMC Consulting. I'm here in Alec's absence. Staff report has presented recommendations, and we would ask this board for the recommendations for the angled parking and the accessible parking space. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Very good. Thank you, sir. May I have staff input, please?
Okay, this is all part of a redevelopment application for a property that's on the west side of Oklahoma Avenue. What's being requested is parking which generally mirrors that which is already in place on the east side of the street. The adjacent lane widths on Oklahoma Avenue are sufficient in order to allow this particular parking maneuver. The applicant has not requested any changes to the existing time-limited parking restriction. So staff has field reviewed the site with respect to the request and can recommend approval as submitted. So action will be at the discretion of the commission.
All right, do we have an item concerning, a motion concerning item 5G?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Hale. Do we have any discussion on this item? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5G from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Can I have your votes, please? Item is approved. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on now to item 6, comments from citizens. Do we have any other citizens that wish to speak? All right, thank you very much. We now go to item 7, reports from traffic commissioners, etc. Mr. Witcher.
I don't have anything to report, but I would like to comment on the report on licensings, taxis, and such. And I get the sense that that you guys are doing a very thorough job. Thank you.
Very good comment. Commissioner Littlefield.
If I can get my voice back. Chairman Yokel of the Planning Commission and I are meeting on Friday at 3:30 to get the ball rolling once again on the Planning Commission Traffic Commission initiative, and I will let you all know what comes out of that meeting. Thank you very much.
And Commissioner Newton.
Comment from a citizen out of Ward 2 concerning an item that we had back in January. This is Goodyear Drive, and this is behind, there's a retirement community there, and it's behind where that, there's a Bifer lesson, all that's right there, and there's businesses on one side. We stop the parking on one side at certain times of the day. She says that has had a profound effect on the neighborhood. However, there are a lot of people who just don't pay any attention to it. So my request today is, if selective enforcement is available, I would like to see if anybody can stop by there from time to time and make sure. It's, this is, what is it? Hang on a second, I can tell you. It's, she lives on Steel Road, but it's actually Goodyear Drive. And it's right over off of 63rd and Northwest Expressway. And I can get you more precise location here shortly, but that's general location.
It actually comes off Portland, I believe.
Portland, yes. Yes, yes.
Anything else, sir?
That'll be all, thank you.
And Commissioner Yokel.
We have an item I had submitted and for the May meeting, which severe weather kept me home. Do we have a slide? I want to put a couple images up for this board to discuss. Yep. You know, I have some personal compassion about safety on the roads for all users where it's a shared roadway of bicyclists, tractors, horses, Class A vehicles, 18-wheelers and similar size, all on some of our more rural roads, this being East Hefner. This is where my son and I were about taken out by somebody who did not want to respect the presence of a bicyclist, because it's a very, I would say impossible is a strong word, but it's close to an impossible road to share with motor vehicles and bicyclists. So right before the May meeting, end of April, in the same weekend, this is what I observed. And what you see in those little trailers are toddlers. I told my husband, I said, turn around. I've got to go talk to these parents. They have no idea how unsafe this road is. Adults, make your choices, but don't bring your babies out on this road where it's very difficult to share. So this was all in the same weekend. These were two different families. I actually was close enough to see the kids. These were different families. About an hour or two after I took the second picture of the second family, I also observed on my way home an out-of-control motorist running every stop sign, driving down the middle of the road, almost took out another cyclist. This was within 2 hours of these babies being on the road. So, what my purpose in bringing this up is to begin dialogue around this. I invited Randy Ince, who has just been a fantastic partner. From me as a citizen, he hears a lot from me on these safety type matters, because I do have concern for the safety of the cyclists, but also the motor vehiclists. He was unable to attend just to get him involved in this dialogue because he said, Paula, those are illegal. And if I was adequately describing these little baby trailers, I think they're called child trailers, he said they were legal if I described it properly to him because he didn't see the pictures when I was talking to him. So I have concern. I have concern on difficult shared roads that we have trailers of toddlers out there where there's hardly even room on the road for my vehicle in my lane because of the poorly maintained roads. Then you add on a bicyclist or 28 or 30 sometimes at a time. It's very unsafe. And then you throw a toddler into the mix, and boy, that will light up a mommy faster than anything, and I happen to be one of those mommies. So I don't know what my point is, other than I think we need to start having some dialogue around, we're new to this bicycle-friendly environment. We want to be somewhat of a progressive city on providing avenues, appropriate roads for bicyclists. I would say, on the record, and this won't be popular, we're not exactly putting the budget behind providing safe cycling roads for bicyclists. We're putting signs that say cyclists can have full use of the road. Well, the vehicles on East Hefner Road don't give the room for a cyclist to have a safe, full use of the road. I'll tell you that. Now, East Hefner's not part of full use of lane routes. I just use that as an example. And this last weekend, on East Reno Road, in a neighboring city just east of us, I don't apologize, I don't know the right bicycle language on this. It looked like a recumbent adult tricycle. It was this huge three-wheeled thing. It was quite cool looking. And then he had a toddler in the same looking thing behind him, crossing Reno Avenue with probably 150 cars on the streets. And I wanted to go take that man and talk to him from a mommy perspective. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just get lit up about the safety of toddlers on the road. So I have no point here other than I really want to get this in discussion. I don't know when it's appropriate, what the right forum is. My personal opinion is, and I'm also of the mindset of small government, I don't want my government telling me everything to do. I don't want you in my light bulbs. I don't want you in how much water goes. You know, I'm not a fan of big government. So I struggle with my personal opinions here and trying to write laws or getting on to parents for taking your toddlers out on the street. It's really up to the discretion of the parent. But I'd put a nickel, because I'm also a budget conscious person. I would put a nickel on the fact that these parents pulling their toddlers have no idea that they were driving within half of a mile where I saw a cyclist get hit because the motorist claimed, I just didn't see the cyclist. They don't understand how unfriendly some of these rural roads are for cyclists. I've gone past my 5 minutes, I'm certain of it. So I think we need to do a little more investigation. I don't want to put counsel on the spot because she didn't have time to look at this before I talked about it to know the legalities of are these child trailers legal for certain roads, not for certain roads? Is it just okay? It doesn't feel okay to me because I've just seen the worst kind of stuff on our rural roads that aren't friendly to sharing. But it seems like we need to, if we want to be a progressive, bicycle-friendly road, let's be safe about it for the motorists and the bicyclists. So what would be a next step here, besides my rambling? Do I have another meeting with Randy? Do I get more facts around this? I just feel like I got to speak on behalf of these little toddlers.
Well, I would recommend you talk to him about what's going to come out in the fall when all the press goes out and the training and this just gets brought up as one of the issues that needs to be educated out to the local area. That would be my recommendation, is just take this specific concern and tie it into whatever he already has planned for.
I will. I will. He, I'm sure, knows me on caller ID.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Commissioner Hale.
No comments.
Commissioner Schuline.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to echo what Commissioner Witcher said and compliment Officers Perry and Dancy for the report. It was a really good report, and we appreciate that.
Commissioner Jenkins. Commissioner George. Sir, do you have anything? Counsel? Mr. John?
The only thing I want to bring up is that you've got our report on some yield signs that have gone in. We didn't have any parking restrictions go in, and I think at this point in time it would be appropriate to recognize Cherry Deans, who's going to be leaving us after this commission meeting. She is going to be seeking new opportunities, new career choice.
Thank you. I've enjoyed working with all of you, and continue your good work.
Thank you for all your time and your hard work, ma'am. Okay, does anybody have any comments? Final comments? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Newton, second. From Commissioner Jenkins. Votes, please. All right, we're out of here. Thank you all.